You're listening to Fun Oldies, 100.9 FM and AM 1450, and welcome to the fastest hour in radio. All About Cars, brought to you by ABC Motors Prescott with your hosts, David Don't Call Me Dave Spence and Big Mike Hill.
All right, so Mr. Mike, I still don't have a bagel. We killed the whole first segment. Now we're into the second segment. No bagels.
I'm going to get you a bagel when we leave here. Stop it.
Okay.
Hey, you give this guy a pile of dough and he goes on the loaf.
That was pretty good. I like that one.
I wish I had some bread. Anyway, so you do know, David, of course, All About Cars does have a Facebook page.
It does?
It does.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
And it's www.facebook.com/allaboutcarsradio.
Did Trish send you a picture?
No.
She has not sent you a picture.
No, she has not.
Well, I'll have to ask Stephanie to do it. We took pictures the other day. I think Stephanie's going to have a picture for you.
Oh, excellent. Oh, of you.
Yeah, I know. You were begging for one. I
also
know you no longer care. But
I want it autographed also because I'm going to put it on my wall because you're kind of a big deal around here, David.
I'm supposed to autograph it?
Well, of course.
Well, you didn't want Tony Tennille's autograph on it.
No, Tony Tennille is not near as important as David. Don't call me Dave Spence.
Okay, well, I met Tony the other way. I thought she was nice.
I'm sure she is nice. But you know where nice gets you.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Okay, so listen, I just want to talk a little bit. I do have on our Facebook, I did get a message from Mr. Danny Hilton, who is friends with a buddy of mine from Kinsey's Customs. Now,
All
Kinsey's Customs does upholstery. He used to be out in Prescott Valley. Now he's down in Phoenix. But he's got a buddy named Danny Hilton, and Danny has an 85 Nissan pickup, which I would have to imagine is a 720 because that's pretty much what it is. And the 720 of his had a problem.
Uh-oh.
All of a sudden, you fire it up, and it dies after just a minute or two. And he was looking for assistance in what can cause the startup, run okay, and then die. And, of course, I figured he might have a Marvel Shebler carb on it, but that wasn't the case.
All right, that could be possible. It's a Marvel if it works, but I don't think it's on that Nissan. Little too new. Although a Nissan's related to a Graham.
I know. See, I was going to segue into that at some point, but and Scott's going, wait, Nissans and Grahams are
yes,
related?
Nissans and Grahams are related. There would be no Nissans if there were not Grahams.
Exactly, and normally we mentioned we digressed after we digressed, but before I get to his question about the 720 Nissan,
yes,
go ahead, let's digress into the history of Nissan and Graham. Da, da, da. This is going to be your Chino Glass clarity moment.
A Chino Glass clarity moment? Hey, that's
Yes.
pretty good. We might see what's up the road, huh?
Yes.
All right, here's the deal. Back in 1937, Nissan was just a little bitty company in Japan, wanted to get serious with making automobiles. And they hadn't been making hardly anything. Basically, Japanese auto manufacturers weren't much. You know, a little cottage industry making a car or two, and they weren't really very good. So what did they do? The Nissan people got real smart, and they said, hey, maybe we can go over to the U.S. and buy something. Yeah, that's what they did. And so they went looking around in Detroit, and they found out over at Graham that the Graham brothers would be willing to sell their Crusader car to them. So they sold them the car, the tooling, the engine design, the spare parts, the entire assembly line, and provided engineers to go to Japan and set them up. And so then they actually did teach them how to build the cars. Now, here's the double kick with it. They got about $800,000 is what they say out of it. So that allowed them to design their new car for $38,39, which happens to be like my car outside.
Now, $800,000, that's a lot of dough.
That's a lot of dough in 37. But the downside was they also supplied a truck design as part of the deal. And the truck design happens to be a truck used by the Japanese in the Pacific Theater during World War II. So they used an American truck design to fight against the Chinese and the Americans. Kind of an interesting little sidelight of what happened. But they literally got in the business with a real car because of that. And that particular engine was used all the way up into the early 70s in
Interesting.
Nissan vehicles.
So you're saying that Nissan's actually then derived from an American-made car,
Yes.
being the Graham from the Graham brothers.
Yep, from the Graham Brothers, Graham Page Motors Corporation, Detroit, Michigan. It really wouldn't exist and wouldn't have gotten as big as it was had they gotten all that help. I mean, they totally gave them everything and taught them how to make cars.
There you go.
Was the engine build, the engine blueprint they gave him, was that for a straight six? Or?
Yeah, it was for a straight six. The difference over the years, they finally made some minor improvements, but mostly it's the same exact block and everything, and they just changed it to say Nissan instead of Graham. And it's actually a 1930s American car design engine that they used.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I love your guys' encyclopedia brains.
And see, that was your clarity moment, brought to you by Chino Glass. Chino Glass, located on Jackdaw Road on the north end of Chino.
Oh, wow. Now, so we have a clarity moment. I think there was something we were going to talk about. Why
So
this
now-
person has this problem.
Well, I went to the person that I know knows the most about Nissans. I went to the Nissan guru, Bill Benson, out at Twin Lakes Auto Service.
And what did he tell you?
Well, the guru sat high atop his mountain, and I went to great lengths to speak to him. And upon my question, he said, Mike, the deal is those trucks...
Hold it. Did he
Yes.
say you can only ask one question?
Actually, what he truly said was he said two.
Two.
And I said, 2 questions? He said, yes. I said, when? He said, Thursday. I said, thank you. He said, goodbye. Those are your 2 questions. I was very upset, but he relented.
All right.
And he allowed me to ask the important question of what could be causing such a thing. And he said, well, honestly, Mike, he said, there's 2 likely causes. He said, the number one cause of problems with the 720s, the Nissan 720 pickups failing to continue running. How's that for untwisting my
Failing
tongue?
to continue running. You were,
Yes.
were we having a Porky Pig moment?
I was. It was bad there for a moment. I got it. I got it. handled.
That's
you
all,
go.
folks.
Yeah, he's got it.
So he said that one of the big problems, and hopefully Nissan didn't get this from Graham, but maybe they did, the connectors all through the 720 in the early years were not sealed on the backside. So if you look at a plug-in connector, you could actually see the wire, see the connector, and they would corrode because they're not sealed.
All right, so you didn't dip them in silicone or something else.
Right, whereas the newer ones all have kind of rubber plugs in them or they're sealed off so they don't corrode. He said number 1 problem is they corroded. He said number 2 problem is Nissan took like a single roll of electrical tape and spun it down the wiring instead of really putting a good loom and insulating the wiring in those trucks.
Okay.
And they actually wind up hitting stuff underneath, crushing the wire, breaking the wire, and then the wire shorts to the frame and whatnot. So his recommendation was go to the fuel pump and check the voltage at the fuel pump
Yeah.
to see if you're even getting voltage there. If you are getting voltage, it is possible that after, even though those were notoriously bulletproof fuel pumps,
Yep.
the problem is 30 years later, they're starting to fail.
What? You don't get a permanent fuel pump with this vehicle?
No. Lifetime fuel pumps are only good until their life is over.
Okay.
So
30 years. It's not very good.
now what's interesting is my son just replaced the fuel pump in his 84. The fuel pump was still running. You know, you can hear the fuel pump run scattered, tack, 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 tack. But if you put a pressure test on it, and it was a high-tech pressure test, I put my finger over it. It doesn't have
sound high-tech.
It doesn't have any pressure
You
at
have
all.
a size 7 finger?
Yes. But you put it, I put it over the outlet and there was no pressure at all whatsoever. If it can't even make a little, then there's no point.
Did you have a little black stuff coming out of it?
No, it wasn't coming apart. It just simply was worn out.
Okay.
So like the wheel inside the fan, whatever, it's just not pushing the gas around anymore.
For lack
the
of a
motor's
better
running.
term, yeah. Normally it's a pump, a diaphragm.
Diaphragm.
And the diaphragm may either have a hole in it, but I didn't see any fuel leaking out of it,
No, but that's why I was asking you if you saw black stuff coming out, because your diaphragm could deteriorate and come apart in little pieces.
Right.
That'll happen particularly if it's, he's talking about one's 30 years old. Is a 30-year-old diaphragm pump appropriate to use with oxygenated gas? No, it is not. And so then you're going to have a pump that can come apart that way. That's why I actually asked.
We'll come back to the oxygenated gas because I just saw the light bulb go on in Scott's head with what?
Well, yeah, now I got some Toyota questions for you guys on the next segment.
But the Nissan, he did say check the voltage. He said if there's voltage there, it's probably the pump. Even if the pump's running, then you know you at least have voltage. But if there is no voltage, check the relay. If the relay's good, check the wiring loom. He said take the connectors apart, clean them up, plug them back together, and see if you can get voltage to it. Without voltage, you have no pump, no go. And that would be what caused it. And that was for Danny Hilton. He wrote into All About Cars on our Facebook page. And it was answered by Bill Benson out at Twin Lakes Auto Service.
All right. So now, can you give me 2 other reasons you could think of why that could happen besides what Bill has said?
I can. One of them could be the coil is overheating for the ignition.
Okay.
The other one could be that the choke is not deactuating and opening up.
Well, in the next segment, we'll have to talk about maybe a couple others yet.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Alrighty.
You're listening to All About Cars right here on 100.9 FM, your oldies station, and 1450 AM. We'll be right back. All About Cars, brought to you by ABC Motors Prescott.